Jai Swaminarayan. Today we are reading Sārangpur 18 of the Vachanamrut. This passage is titled Saline Land. On Bhadarva Sudhi the 8th, Samvat 1877, or the 15th of September 1820, Swami Sri Sahjanandji Maharaj was facing north on the veranda outside the north-facing rooms of Jiva Khachar's Darbar in Sārangpur. He was wearing a white case and had covered himself with a white cotton cloth. He had also tied a white pag around his head. At that time, an assembly of munis, scholars, as well as devotees from various places had gathered before him. Thereupon, Sriji Maharaj said, "If a person with shraddha, trust or faith, encounters the company of a true sant, saintly being, and develops shraddha in the words of that sant, then all of the redemptive virtues of swadharma, kind of deep-seated righteousness, vairagya, dispassion towards material things, jnana, knowledge, bhakti, loving devotion, wisdom, etc. would develop in their heart, and the vicious natures of lust, anger, etc. would be burnt away. Conversely, if they encounter evil company, and if they develop shraddha in their words, then all of the virtues of vairagya, wisdom, etc. would be destroyed." It is rather like the analogy of saline land. No matter how much rain falls upon it, no grass or anything else can grow upon it. However, if a flood were to sweep across that same land, then all of the salt would be washed away. As a result, where there was once salt, there would now be silt. Then, if the seeds of banyan, pipal, or other trees were to fall into that silt, they would grow into large trees. Likewise, if a person who has the previously mentioned virtues of swadharma, vairagya, etc., firmly rooted in their heart, and who has not even the slightest desire for the pleasures of this world, were to meet with evil company, then waters in the form of evil company would sweep across their heart and leave behind silt in the form of worldly talks, etc. Subsequently, the seeds of lust, anger, avarice, infatuation, arrogance, matsar, etc., which are dormant in the silt, would grow into large trees. Therefore, a devotee of God should never keep bad company. Then, Sriji Maharaj continued, "If a person has some swabhavs, which are, deep-seated impressions, usually negative, and they thoughtfully attempt to eradicate them by associating with the sant, then they can be destroyed. However, a person's vicious swabhavs will not be eradicated if they foolishly apply any other method. When such a fool becomes depressed, they either sleep, cry, take out their frustration on someone else, or they may even fast. They will use any of these four methods to try to overcome their depression. If they become severely depressed, they may even resort to committing suicide. These are ways in which someone without understanding attempts to overcome depression. However, such methods neither reduce the pain nor do they eradicate one's swabha. On the other hand, if one were to attempt to eradicate them with understanding, then both the distress and the swabhav would be eradicated. Thus, only those who have understanding become happy." Thereafter, Sriji Maharaj continued with another example and said, "Large flames of a fire are extinguished when water is poured over it, whereas even a slight flash of lightning can never be extinguished, even though it is in the midst of dense rain clouds. Similarly, regardless of how much vairagya one may have, or how much love for God one may have, if one does not have understanding, then like the flames of the fire, all of one's virtues will be lost, due to water in the form of bad company. In comparison, one who has vairagya and love compounded with understanding is like the fire of lightning. It may be slight, but it is never destroyed. Thereafter, Nirvikarnand Swami asked, Maharaj, if a person has the vicious swabhavs of lust, anger, etc., can they be eradicated or not? Sriji Maharaj replied, just as a merchant keeps an account of all of their transactions, if one keeps an account of one's swabhavs from the very day one entered the Satsang fellowship, then they can be eradicated. That is, one should think, when I was not in Satsang, I had these vicious swabhavs, but ever since I have entered Satsang, they have diminished. Thereafter, every year one should check to see if one has progressed or if there is still some deficiency remaining. However, a fool does not keep an account like the merchant does. Thus, any swabhav which one may have can be eradicated if one continuously examines oneself while doing satsang. Thereupon Muktanand Swami asked, if one keeps bad company, then it is obvious that one will develop vicious swabhavs. But why is it that such vicious swabhavs arise even after one associates with the sant? Sriji Maharaj explained, during one's childhood, one does not face the inner enemies of lust, anger, avarice, etc. Moreover, at that age also, one tends to have more love for God. However, when one enters youth, the inner enemies of lust, anger, etc. increase, along with the belief that one is the body. If during that period one keeps the company of a sadhu, a monk who does not have vicious nature such as lust, the belief that one is the body, etc., then one will cross the ocean of youth. However, if the youth does not do this, the inner enemies of lust, anger, etc. will defeat them, and they will consequently turn vile. However, if an older person is spoilt while doing satsang, it is because whichever faults they perceive in the great Purush person all return to dwell in their own heart. Conversely, if one imbibes the virtues of the great Purush and thinks, any swabhav the great Purush exhibits is only for the sake of the jivas, the individual's liberation. He is, in fact, flawless, but my perceiving flaws in him, in fact, is due to my own personal foolishness. In thinking thus, if they imbibe the virtues of the Sat Purush and asks for forgiveness for their mistakes, then the deficiencies of that person will diminish. Thereafter, Mahanubhavanand Swami asked, can Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic swabhavs be eradicated by doing satsang? These are the gunas, the qualities of passion, ignorance, and purity. Sriji Maharaj replied, all swabhavs can be eradicated if one tries to eradicate them. Muktanand Swami asked further, if that is the case, then despite the fact that Durvasa and others have become muktas, liberated beings, why do they still remain tamasic, seemingly in ignorance? Sriji Maharaj explained, the gunas, the qualities of tamogun, etc., which are seen in Durvasa and others, are only present because they choose to keep them. They feel if someone is misbehaving, tamogun is actually very necessary in order to reprimand them, for example. That is why we keep it. Thus, they purposely retain such gunas. Nevertheless, When a swabhav is prevalent in oneself, one should bear an aversion towards it. One should think, I am a devotee of God, and such a vicious swabhav does not befit me. In this way, by the grace of God, one's swabhavs can be eradicated if one regards them as flaws and strives to discard them. Thank you for listening. Thus we have come to the end of Sārangpur 18 and consequently the end of the Sārangpur section. Next time we will begin the Karyani section. Thank you for listening. Jai Swaminarayan.